Hey Dominic.
Hey, Jenna.
Hey, how's it been going?
Hot. Really hot.
Oh, well, that goes to say. By the way, I saw that there's some program to make sure that all New Yorkers, at least in New York City, I think maybe even statewide, are able to get free air conditioners if they need them.
Oh, wow. I did not hear about that.
Well, I've been immersed in all things state regulatory lately. But are you at least air conditioned?
Yes, I have
Okay.
AC, but I'm on the top floor. So for me,
Ooh.
even this AC is working its butt off trying to keep me cool because it's so hot. Yeah, it's always like so much hotter. And I'm like, and it's on all day and I have to pay for it.
Well, that's the thing is that even for my house, I will wait as late until about maybe 10 o'clock before, and I close all the windows and like physically
Yeah,
close the windows, and then I'll close the blinds to keep the sunlight out as much as possible.
me too. Yeah.
Then I turn on the AC, and then somewhere around like maybe 5 or 6, as the day starts to naturally cool down, even though like yesterday it was super humid. Anyway, I could keep going, but that's when I turn it off again and I just let the summer air be the summer air. But so many more things for us to talk about. So let's start the show. Hi, I'm Jenna,
And I'm Dom, and we're both award winning journalists.
who've recently been laid off.
Our industry is experiencing a seismic shift, and it's shed a lot of really good journalists.
So, where does that leave us? Well, we're definitely laid off.
And we're looking for new jobs, looking for what's left of the industry, and what to do next.
And we're looking at all of it. So, if you're a fellow laid off journalist, a working journalist, or someone who admires the craft, we're looking to build community.
Develop new skills, and try to figure out what just happened.
Welcome to Laid Off and Looking. Okay, so first of all, I got totally lost with that open. I went way longer than I thought. But yeah, for me, so somewhere around like I said, in the evening, as the sun's starting to set, the air does cool down some. Especially if the
Hmm.
wind's blowing, then there'll be the humidity doesn't like sit and hold. But I think that's also an option for me because I'm not in the thick of New York City. Like everybody that I know in the city has been like, it's hell.
It's
It's
oppressive.
Satan's asshole
Yeah,
down here.
yes. Yes. Seriously, it's just like it's so oppressive. And so you really do have to keep it on all day and all night.
Oh
It's that bad.
God.
So,
Oh, that's so not cool. That's so
no,
not
it
cool.
isn't. But it's okay for now. I know we have a little bit of a break, it looks like, for a couple of days coming up. And then it's 95 degrees for like 3 days next
Yeah.
week.
Well, I mean, the Farmer's Almanac, the goofy upstate thing, or not upstate, but the goofy country thing, the Farmer's Almanac did predict that this was going to be a long, hot summer.
Sure.
And I've been actually looking into what excuse me, protocols that the state might have in the event of too much demand on our power grid. Our power grid is old AF.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, everybody in the city knows that, like, Con Ed is held together with what, like some duct tape and a prayer, but it's not any better for the rest of the state.
Somebody on TikTok did a really funny video where they were pretending to be Con Ed, and Con Ed was talking to them saying, hey, we know can you guys like not use us as much right now from the hours between 2 and 10, like so for 8 hours. And like,
The
yeah,
hottest parts of the day.
it'll really help us. They're like, F you. It's like, honestly, it's a sort of like, I get those alerts, and I'm like, seriously, y'all, this is the whole point of why we have an AC and why we're using it. I mean, if every time it gets hot, if you tell us, hey, don't try not to use that much of the AC, then what's the point of it? I'm paying for it.
Well, okay, so here's one thing. One is that I think we might have our TikTok algorithms might have synced because I
Oh,
saw that
yes.
video. I know exactly what you're talking
Oh, you
about.
do.
Yes, she was very, very funny. That she was just like, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
hottest hours of the day, you want me to
Yes.
turn off the AC?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, oh no, we need to leave Times Square on 24/7.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Oh, because people are shopping. We need to make sure that they feel comfortable while they're in the stores.
But
Okay.
the doors open, like the
Yes.
air conditioning, you can feel it when you walk past, but that's totally fine. But
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
I would also be furious if that were the case.
Yes. I get very angry whenever I see those. So when I saw that video, I was just like, it's not just me.
No,
I
it's
have to
so
say,
important to feel seen.
I stayed. Um I was in the supermarket, and honestly, I think I stayed wandering around a little longer than I should have, only because of the fact that it was so AC'd up that I was just like, I don't want to leave. Don't make me leave. It's so nice in here.
I found myself, yes, also wandering around looking at stuff that I have no interest. I don't want to go back outside.
I don't
It is
either.
terrible outside. But with that in mind, actually, because feeling seen, there was another, I can't tell if it was a TikTok or a reel, but it was a video that I was watching on my phone.
Hmm.
And this woman was talking about the grief of leaving a toxic job. Now, as obviously our podcast indicates, we didn't leave, we were laid off, but there was a lot that she was talking about that completely struck a chord with me. And I also want to preface this by saying that, what was it? I guess maybe earlier, a couple of days ago, I just started feeling like a combination of off. Like,
Hmm.
usually I can keep it together and we're moving forward and we're doing all this stuff and we are doing all this stuff behind the scenes, but, to make this thing sustainable and to make it work. But at the same time, it was like this combination of just like kind of down in the dumps, kind of depressed, kind of sad, but also kind of angry, kind of like all of these, just like these emotions were just sort of like all simmering below the surface, and I couldn't quite figure it out. Um, so do you want me to share
Yeah,
some of the points?
definitely. I'd
Okay.
love to hear
So,
it.
and then you could tell me if this also like if you've uh I guess had to manage or struggled with any of these.
Okay.
So, and her thing, and I'll add in the show notes no, wait, I think I deleted the video. Never mind, I don't remember who it was. My bad to this creator. But she was talking about the grief of losing or leaving a toxic job. And that for one thing, people think there's going to be a lot of relief, but actually that there's grief. And so she starts with one of them being the opportunities that were promised but never delivered. And for myself, when I think back, I don't know so much like, hmm, I don't know if there were necessarily opportunities that were promised so much as there were opportunities that just like I believed were there, that just simply just weren't. And it was kind of like a slow moving crash in the realization that like this is not working.
Hmm.
So
Um, I think for me, it's just yeah, I don't, for me, it's not a question of something promised. You know what it is? I think it's sort of this, and I don't know about other people, but like or yourself, but like you feel that the promise of anything is just that there's stability at your job. That, do you know what I mean? Like that
no, that's
something
been a
won't
real
that it
thing.
will be there. I think that's the only thing like that. What you feel of that stability of having your job, of it not going anywhere. I guess that to me is what one thinks, but realizing afterwards that actually that doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah, no, and that's probably been one of the harder things is because so much of my career has been, like hustling this
Hmm.
way and that way and hustle, hustle, hustle and all this other stuff. And, in the name of building a name and a reputation for myself, I've taken a lot of jobs where I've taken a pay cut, but, like I'm building something here, I'm growing, I'm etc. And I think I had about a year of genuinely like of reaching a point where I was like, okay, I'm financially solvent, I'm financially stable, and it's okay. And like literally it was about like a year ago really that I finally started to feel like I could relax and trust that like okay, I have this. There's still other things that I want to do, but I at least have this and I'm okay. And just a few months later, gone. And that's still something that I find myself struggling with is that this level of security, I guess, of having a job that I knew how to do, um, that, to the point where actually it no longer really required a whole lot of I don't know, like I guess trying. Like we had developed a rhythm with the
Hmm.
show that we were working on. And
Hmm.
so yeah, like all of that is just gone. And every so often it almost repeats on you, like, I don't know, bad sushi or something, where it's just like, oh my God.
I remember it's the funny thing is I remember us having a conversation last year about that very you were telling me that because where isn't that when you were also looking to you were buying a table like this large table
Oh, for my
um
dining room,
for
yeah.
your dining room. I don't know if it was last year or maybe it was, but I remember us having this conversation where you said it was like just the idea of being this time where you felt that kind of um I guess just having that foundation where you feel like, wow, I feel secure here. I feel good. And as listen, we all and I guess that's the part of this too. You just don't not knowing where it was all going to come down. I'm just watching it also happen everywhere now. Um
I know.
and
I still feel really bad when I see new announcements of layoffs. So I'm
you
like,
sent me
oh my
something
God.
yesterday, right? It
Yeah.
was about the CNN layoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Um
I know the emotional journey that those people are now going to have to get on. And it's challenging.
it is because and everybody deals with it also very differently, I guess. Some people really do just bounce right back from it, and some, I think it always, I guess to me, it's like I can say like I felt doing the kind of work we were doing, you know, you believed in it.
Oh, yeah.
The mission,
100%.
and
Yes.
not saying other people don't, but I'm just saying like when you buy so much into it, it can it's like yeah, it's that saying pulling the rug from out under you where you all of a sudden feel like whoa, and it's uh you felt you had a mission and you were part of that mission and you were really passionate about that mission of telling stories that everybody
From
else was telling.
marginalized communities. And
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And then you worried about like yeah, it's then you feel kind of like I still want to touch. That's why us doing this has been a great, I guess, way of still being able to tell some of those stories, but not the way that we did before. It's just different.
Yeah.
And it feels, and I think that's why too, it feels a little, it feels a little, there's a sadness to it. But
Oh,
what
there's
is
completely
there
a
anything else that
sadness.
that
Oh, yes,
creator,
the creator was meant. Okay, so the other thing that you're mourning or the grief is for is the coworkers who you trauma bonded with.
you
And
know?
that's 100% true.
Yeah,
Like I've tried to keep in touch with, people, but whereas our interactions with each other were a lot more frequent, obviously because we were
yeah.
talking about the show or, pieces that we were putting together, but it would always be that like brief conversation about work and then it would always like veer off into some other conversation supporting each other and like what's going on in your life and oh, that's great, or that's good luck with something or whatever. um and when you don't have that like necessity where you need to be in touch with
Hmm.
somebody constantly, I mean, I still try to keep in touch with people, but that bond starts to fray, like it's not, they're not there
Yeah.
anymore. So yeah, and so that's also a loss of community, which
Yeah.
also adds to that unmoored feeling, which I hate.
It's yeah. And I feel like sometimes after it all happened, I definitely felt a bit of kind of not to say the very early period, a lot of us were still in contact, but then the holidays kind of hit, and I think everybody sort of needed to take a break, because I noticed that like everybody kind of just stepped away a little bit. And that's
Yeah.
sometimes the tough part is that needing that room to breathe and kind of mourn it all, because if you keep talking to the same people, it can also just have you still holding on to feelings that you kind of are trying to move on from. You see, like for us, we used it for something else. But there are a few other people who I'm like, I've been thinking about. I'm like, I really need to get back in touch with them because it's been a while since I've talked to them. But I've sort of needed that a little bit of a break too.
Well, there's some people who I also wonder though, like, I mean, there's some people who I definitely forged like friendships with.
Hmm.
There's other people for whom, like, yeah, we were more colleagues, but time's gone on and I I don't know, like, how much am I part of that past that this person on their own journey is working
True.
to get past and get beyond, and me being like, hey, how you doing, I'll constantly is just like, you're taking
Yeah.
me back to a place I'm really trying to move on from.
Yeah.
So I also want to respect that distance.
Yeah. It's, Christina and I, she was co-EP with us. And so I haven't, like, we used to talk
Oh
every
God.
day from like 9 in the early morning till night. And we would talk every day and still have to stay in touch via text, after work hours if news broke and then weekends. If so, I just know like, even for us, it's been a weird experience where it's like we haven't I probably would say once that happened, we did kind of just like we check in with one another. We'll see. I might see her next week. Um, just because it's been forever. It's been months now since I haven't
Yeah.
seen her. And that's the tough part too sometimes. And we've known each other before this job. We've known each other going on almost like 20 years. But again, I think you need that space sometimes because, like you said, it can also um, even when you're friends, it's like sometimes you need that ability to let go of something. And if you're mourning a job, if you're mourning just how things went down, you kind of do need to be able to like um pull away and just sort of heal a little bit on your own, kind of figure stuff out on your
Yeah.
own. It's tough to do that always with the same. Sometimes it works out. Everybody's different. But for me, I definitely know I felt, and it feels weird, but I do think of everybody too, especially the people
Oh
that we
yeah.
worked with.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
anything else on that list?
Well, let's see. There was also grieving everything that could have been, which I guess kind of covers like, opportunities promised but not delivered. That, and I think actually for me that's probably the bigger thing is grieving everything that could have been, because there
Mm.
weren't necessarily
Hmm.
promises that were not
Mm-mm.
delivered on, but there was a lot that could have been
Hmm.
that, like, oh my
Hmm.
God.
Potential
Yeah.
of I agree.
Yeah. So that, like, that repeats on you periodically. Um Yeah.
Well,
That
it's like you
does.
have and you're in everybody's, head. There's you think about what you want or what you see what you're doing with your job or your career, and you have these ideas of, oh, and I'm going to go in this space and I'm going to go here, or we could do this, you could do that. And then because you have no choice, it feels like it's taken away from you, um, because you had no idea what was going on or things just change. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Um so yeah, oh my God. Oh my God. Well, anyway, so then the last one was, I guess first of all, she was just emphasizing the importance of acknowledging that you've experienced trauma. Although I feel like this entire podcast series is all about us processing
the trauma. Yes.
the trauma amongst, just like what's been happening with our industry. But then the last thing she points out is that a lot of people will suggest that you just brush it off, and it's not that easy. Like, it's and I don't know, like, I don't think, because of the kind of work that I've chosen to do, I don't think I've ever really had a job where I was never invested somehow. I don't know if you can do journalism and just not be invested, but I have always been. And so just brush it off is like, it's just such a what are you talking about? I literally can't do that.
Do you also think it has something to do where people are at? Like we've spent a number of years within this industry, especially, 8 years working together, don't you think that that also makes it a little different than, let's say, somebody who's worked, a year or two in a place, or do you know what I mean? Like, or maybe somebody who is, because there has been this big investment within the industry, within the work that we're doing, the mission of what one is trying to do.
Okay. Um, yeah, no, I think that that is 100% the case. Yeah. I'm still just processing. I still
I think
am.
that's it. I know.
And there was what was it? There was something I don't really know what it was, but there was something that anyway, once I sort of like I saw that reel or again that TikTok, I can't remember which one it was. And then I went back and I thought about all of these just like feelings that were just sort of roiling in me. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, it's still there. Like it's
It
months, over half a year
it
later, and it's still there.
it it pops back up. I agree.
Yes.
It pops back up. It's like all of a sudden it's like that damn Jack in the Box. That would scare the hell out of me. It just goes like rah out of nowhere.
No, it does. It absolutely does. And just like, oh God. Oh, anyway, um, so yeah, so that's like that's just that's that's my thing. That's where I
Yes.
am.
That's no, I I don't know. That's the thing too. I guess, there isn't really, and there there's no kind of time periods that, right? You don't really have like, all right, you know what? At the end of the month it'll all be done and you'll feel better. And I don't think it's about that, or that these feelings go away. I think even if, no matter what, it just takes time. So
Yeah, no, it does take time. And it also takes, I mean, it's not just like it just takes time though. It takes time slash you sort of yeah, it's just you need to fill something else in there.
yeah.
Now, of course, we are definitely working our buns off to get our sea legs underneath us so that this podcast can be part of our income stream. But yeah, it just like, yeah, I don't know what I literally don't know what else to call it or say. It's just I don't know. I oscillate between feeling robbed to feeling just sad and grief stricken sometimes,
Hmm.
um, to feeling frustrated. Um, because, again, there's a part of me that's just like, I can't believe I'm back here again. And, like, and this
Yes.
is not to say listen, I am very grateful for the positives that I've had, the freelancing gigs that I've
Yeah.
been able to start putting together. Like, I am immensely grateful. But there is a part of me, yeah, that's just like, I'm back here. And there's a part of my brain that wants to be like, okay, so how do we fix this? But this isn't necessarily a fix it situation.
No. No. It is just what you have to deal with. And it can, yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know. Like for me, it's the processing is still, still a little bit of that sadness, and still, and like you said before about the issue of having the security slash stability, which is just very different now, and trying to sort of navigate what that means in this
Yeah.
market. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does it mean in this type of market that we're in, where it really isn't just one situation, it's an industry. It isn't just like one show. That is dealing with this, or one network that is dealing with this. It is an entire industry that is sort of being um shaken. And wow, this sounds
Well,
so happy.
I know this sounds so like, but just
I
one
don't
other little bone to pick, and this is partially, I'm sure this is just like a generational thing or whatever, but I feel like um I just got like I don't not that I just got yeah, like I finally I just got here and I just got established, like I finally put my stake in the ground and now it's all falling apart.
yeah,
And so it's just like, wait a second, after all of the building and working, like,
I know what you mean.
is there seriously a chance that I don't even get to like, wait, what? Anyway, because yeah, it's an entire industry.
It really is. It's so you just don't really know what that means. And it's funny that you put it that way. I know we've talked about, I feel like we've brought this up before too, but it is that when you've gotten to this certain space, this certain place, and then all of a sudden it's like, seriously? Now I don't know what's happening with this industry, and now I don't know if where I fit in, but I it just like everything's been shaken. I guess it shakes us up to really figure this part out, which isn't, I don't know. I don't have an answer
I
for it.
always
It's a
keep
very
saying to
confusing.
myself, it's not impossible. It's not impossible, but it is hard.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's like the phrase that I can't even tell you how many times I have like had to talk myself down from a ledge to be like, it's not impossible, Jenna. It is not impossible,
No,
but it is hard.
but it is hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, we've covered our 20
yeah.
minutes. But not I mean, sometimes conversations are somber. This is real stuff. This is
It's
definitely real
important.
life.
Yeah. You don't want to feel like you have to put on, you know, a happy face in the sense of like you said, it's not impossible. It'll be hard. And that's okay too. And we'll get through. But if there's anything that I do get annoyed with more, it's I can't stand when people are just fake positive, where you don't acknowledge what you're feeling and you don't acknowledge what's going on with your life. Because if you don't do that, people then tend to just think life's just, it's just them. And I hate that feeling. That's a lot of times what you'll see how people present themselves online,
Oh,
because
completely.
it's just easier sometimes to, but you also don't want, I understand this too. You don't want to fall into a pity aspect because it's not about that, but it is about, it's sort of like with relationships. Didn't they say like for every year you're with somebody, you're supposed to double time, or however long you're with somebody, you're supposed to double the time in order to get over them. Now, mind you,
I thought it was half the time. Like if you were with somebody for a year, it takes 6 months to get over them.
oh, I thought it was double.
Oh,
Maybe
oh my
that's just
God.
me.
Nobody would ever move on with their lives. No, what I learned from Charlotte on Sex in the City is that it takes half the time of the total relationship for you to get over the person you were with.
Oh God, that's gonna take us for,
Yeah,
well,
exactly. Which means, like, I mean,
uh,
in all fairness, I kind of held that job freelance for 2 years before I was brought on as staff for
I,
7 years.
yeah, and
That's, I'm
that's
terrible at
9.
math. That's 4.5
Yeah,
years.
and I
Yeah.
was a little over 8, and that's 4. But I really do believe part of this, what happens is when people again do not talk, and being willing to talk to people and to others and to kind of, that's the tough part for me sometimes. Like I find myself not wanting to always talk to other people because it's like I don't want to bum people out. You know what I mean? It's different when we talk and we catch up about things, but sharing it sometimes with everybody too can also feel, you don't want to bum other people out, and also you don't want to keep repeating the same thing because it ends up feeling like you just keep reliving it, and that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So it's that fine line. Well, that's what my therapist is for. It's
But
like,
exactly, my poor therapist who's just like, okay, well, let's unpack that a little bit.
yes,
Like, oh
exactly.
my
I'm
God.
talking to her tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
All right,
All
Dom.
right, Jenna.
Well, it was great to have check in with you. And of
Yes,
course, we will continue and we're going to keep continuing to work behind the scenes because this is hard, but
but
it's
not
not
impossible.
impossible.
There we go.
There we go. All right, later.
Bye.
Laid Off and Looking is an independent podcast conceived of and created by Jenna Flanagan and Dominic Camia. Music provided by Jay Cowett, research by Lori Ruthenbucker. Reach out to us anytime at laidofandlookingpod@gmail.com. New episodes drop every Friday at noon.